So tonight, you're going to hear from the master speaker and coach, Steve Hopper. He's known as one of the most inspiring speakers in the world today. He speaks to corporate leaders at personal and business development conferences and seminars. He speaks at churches, schools, and even prisons. Steve's journey and story is one that could have sent him into the depths of despair, but he shares his experience to lift others to heights of performance and possibility. I know that meeting Steve and working with him is one of the blessings I am most grateful for, because I would not be speaking, I would not be making myself visible, I would still be hiding and thinking I was making an impact. So let's welcome Steve to the mic and into our lives this evening. So Steve, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I believe that success in business and life is based on our ability to influence people in a positive way. Y'all, it's what I've built the foundation of my entire speaking platform on. All of my coaching, the book writing, everything has been built on the foundation that our success in business and life is greatly dependent upon that ability to influence others. So my goal here tonight is to share something with you all that is going to help you get even better with that ability that you already possess, and that is to influence people in a positive way. Tonight, I want to tell you about the fact that your story matters. That's right. My topic for tonight is that your story matters. You know, as I work and I coach with people, I'm always taking people down this road to help them come to this understanding that their story does matter. You know, it's funny, when I first met Lorraine Lane, she wasn't telling that story that she shared with you all last week, that story about her being a nun and being in silence and living in silence for 8 years, and then having that epiphany that this was not where she was supposed to be, and all the things that she's gone and done since then. She wasn't sharing that story. And it wasn't until we started working together that I said, oh my gosh, you have got to be telling this story. She didn't realize that that story at that time really mattered the way that it does. She didn't realize how it tied in with that fact that she could help people find their voice, and how her story tied into that. So your story does matter, and we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to use your story to inspire the masses, to grow your brand, and to make more money doing it. And here's my promise to you, that if you wrap your brain around what I share with you this evening, then it's going to change the game forever for you in your business and in your life. And for those of y'all that do stick around to the end, you ride this thing out with me tonight, then I'm going to share with you at the end a guaranteed way that you're going to be able to build your credibility, your influence, and your bank account. But before I jump into all the content tonight, I want to take you all on a little journey and tell you a little bit more about me. I grew up in Tampa, Florida. I started playing football when I was just 5 years old. It was what I wanted to do with my life. I wasn't going to be a doctor, fireman, or policeman. I was going to be a football player. And at, a very young age, I had the natural talent. Over the years, I gained the skill to match that talent, and got into high school, and the opportunities started to come. The colleges started to come. And I had made up my mind that I was going to go play football at the University of Florida. I wanted to be a Gator. And everything that I had worked for, sweated for, bled for since I was a little kid was about to become a reality. But one night, my senior year in high school, I would make a split-second decision, y'all, that would literally change the course of my life forever. I got invited to a party one Friday night by some friends on the football team, and we showed up down in South Tampa, and there was a big bonfire and kegs of beer and hundreds of teenagers drinking and partying and doing what we had no business doing at 16 and 17 years old. Anybody can understand that, know what I'm talking about? Well, we had been at this party for a few minutes, and one of the guys from my football team got into an argument with a teenager from a rival high school. Big fight broke out. The other guy's friends jumped in. So what do y'all think I did? Jumped in. We didn't think anything of it at the time. It was another Friday night, another fight, another party. We'd been in those situations before, witnessed those situations before, but this night was going to be much different because 3 days later, the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department showed up at my parents' home with a warrant for my arrest. You see, one of the teens that I had hit during that Friday night altercation had slipped into a coma. And at that moment, it was like the clock stopped ticking in my life. My dad took me down, he turned me in, and the last thing he said to me before I walked through that door was, "Son, keep your head up. We're going to get this figured out. We're going to get you out of here. We're going to get this figured out. Be strong." But you see, what my dad didn't realize at that moment, neither did I, was that they had actually revoked my bond because this young man was in a coma. They didn't know if he was going to live or die. So they revoked my bond. So for 3 months, my senior year in high school, I sat in the county jail waiting to find out if this young man was going to live or if he was going to die. It was about 90 days into my incarceration. I called home one night and my mom answered the phone crying, and she said, "Son, he came out of the coma. He's going to live. He's going to be okay." And y'all, for me, it was the best news I'd ever heard in my life. But when I speak at our high schools and our middle schools and our colleges, I always try to impart on our very lost youth that when you make bad choices in life, there are almost always going to be bad consequences that come along with them. And for me, those consequences were going to be great. To make a long story short for y'all here this evening, for that one split second decision, that one swing, that one lapse in judgment at 17 years old, they sentenced me to 10 years in Florida State Prison. You know, my friends that I grew up with, they still joke around with me today and they tell me instead of going to Florida, I went to Florida State. Now, for those of y'all, excuse me, for those of y'all that are here in Florida, you know how funny that actually is. But it was no laughing matter, was it? You see, nothing in life had prepared me for the world that I was about to enter. I got sent to one of the worst prisons in Florida at the time. They've since then shut the place down. The gang violence was daily, the riots were weekly. I fought for my life on numerous occasions. Nothing, my parents, my teachers, my coaches, nobody had taught me anything in life that had prepared me for the world that I had entered. You know, if I could explain what hell on earth was like, I would probably describe it as that place that I was at. And it was about a year into my incarceration, and it was lights out time. And that steel door slammed shut on that prison cell, sealing me in for the night. Y'all, it was so dark, I couldn't see a foot in front of my face. And this particular night, the weight of the world just came crashing in on me like a ton of bricks. I felt every emotion you could imagine, feelings of helplessness, hopelessness, remorse, fear, regret. I was 1 year into a 10-year sentence, and that year had been hell. I didn't think I was going to survive the next 9. And as I sat there, this overwhelming feeling of hopelessness just overcame me to the point that I crouched down in the corner of the cell, pulled my knees tight to my chest, and began to cry. And for the first time in my life, the thought of suicide actually crossed my mind. You know, and as I sat there, um, contemplating taking my own life, I remembered something. In that moment, I remembered something. It was something my grandfather had told me when I was about 10 years old. You see, my grandparents, they owned a bunch of property up in North Florida, Tallahassee area. And we used to spend our summers up there, my sister and I. And they had a whole bunch of property. So you could imagine it was a ton of fun as a kid growing up to spend your summers there and have the farm and horses and all these things going on. And my grandfather was a Christian. And every morning he would get up at the table, the breakfast table, and he would read those daily devotionals. And I would sit there and roll my eyes, you know. I didn't want to hear any of that. I had my own agenda, right? It was one ear and out the other. And one summer he got my attention. I'll never forget it. We were out on the property and I believe he was repairing a fence, and he just stopped all of a sudden and he dropped his hammer in his toolbox and he looked over at me and he said, "Son," he goes, "just promise me one thing." And I said, "Yeah, Granddaddy, what is it?" He said, "Promise me that if you're ever at your darkest moment in life and your back's against the wall and you don't feel like you have any way out, just promise me that you'll drop to your knees and cry out for God." "Okay, Granddaddy, yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah, I'll do that. I promise." I didn't think about that again until that night in that cell. I was there. Darkest moment of my life, back against the wall, no way out. So I spun around on my knees and I took my grandfather's advice and I laid my face on that cold, hard, dirty concrete prison floor and I cried like I never cried before in my life. And y'all, I didn't come here to preach to y'all tonight by any means. I'm just sharing my story with you. What I'll tell you is this, is that it wasn't that night on the beach when I took that swing that changed the course of my life forever. It was that night in that cell that changed the course of my life forever. I woke up the next morning and I had a new lease on life. No pun intended, right? I had a new lease on life, but the doors didn't open up. I didn't, when I cried out for God, the doors didn't open up. What happened when I cried out for God was in that instant, in that moment, I realized that my life did have meaning. My life did have purpose, and that there was something that I was going to go and do. I had no idea what it was in that moment. I had no idea that in that moment that I would one day be traveling and speaking and inspiring and coaching and doing all the things that we've been able to do and accomplish. I just knew in that moment that night that there was something bigger waiting for me, something I was going to go and do, and I had no idea what it was. But the gates didn't open the next day. I was still in prison. So I knew that if I was going to go and accomplish something with my life, that I needed to better myself from the inside out. So I began to eat, drink, sleep, every ounce of self-development material I could get my hands on. I had no idea what I would use it for one day. I just wanted to get better. I ended up doing 7 years on that 10-year sentence. I went in at 17 and got out at 24. There I was, back into the world. You know, I got back out, y'all, and I knew again that I had this purpose and I wanted to go fulfill this purpose. But those inner struggles and those outer struggles began to affect me. Those outer struggles were, I'm an ex-convict with no college education. And the inner struggle was, am I good enough? It's funny that, I work with clients, and this is one of the biggest areas that we address, is that am I good enough area. I got interviewed recently and somebody said, what's the number one thing that you run into the most with your clients? And I said, confidence. And it's the truth. Some of y'all here tonight are struggling with confidence. When we talk about speaking, we talk about going out and putting you on stage in front of thousands of people. Some of y'all are struggling with that confidence. Some of y'all have dreams and goals right now that you want to go out and accomplish, or that you would like to accomplish, but you struggle with confidence to make those moves to go and get those things. Some of y'all have taken dreams, desires, hopes, put them on the shelf, and they're there collecting dust because you got so caught up in life and you lacked that confidence that you could go and accomplish it. But I went through this inner struggle in a major, major way. Was I good enough? I wanted to succeed, but I did not know which vehicle was going to get me there or how I was going to go and make my mark on the world. I went with plan A, right? Plan A was to get a job, J-O-B, that's right. So I got out of prison and I was dating a girl I started dating a girl when I got out of prison. Her brother was a general manager at a car dealership, large company, 100 dealerships nationwide. And he said, I can get you around the background check and I can get you a job selling cars. And I was like, selling cars, really? I want to be a car salesman. You're out of your mind. He goes, no, it's not like that. It's different, et cetera, whatever. And I said, well, here, I need to do something. So I started selling cars. Y'all, within 6 months, I became the top salesman in the country nationwide out of 100 dealerships. So they promoted me into management, gave me my own dealership. And within about 6 months, my dealership became the top dealership in the country. So they flew me out to Arizona and set me down with the CEO of the company. And he sat across that table from me and he said, who are you and what are you doing? And I said, you want the short story or the long story? And his next question to me after I shared that story was, how did you get around our background check? I said, I don't know. It's your background check. And he said, well, I'm glad you did. We're going to create a position for you. We're going to make you a national sales trainer. We want to fly around the country. We want to send you to all the dealerships. We want to have you go in and teach to all the dealerships, all the management, all the staff, what you're doing down there in Florida. So y'all, it was a dream job. I was making 6+ figures a year. I thought I was rich. I was flying around the country. I was young and dumb and wasn't putting any money away or planning or anything to that effect. And then all of a sudden, 2008 hit. Anybody remember 2008? Yeah, that was a good year, right? That was almost as good as 2020, wasn't it? 2008, everything crashed. And I remember my company calling me into the office over on Florida Avenue. And they said, Steve, we're closing down about 40 dealerships and we're letting a bunch of people go. You're one of them. I remember driving down roads when I left that day that I had never driven down before, in a daze, just driving, wondering what I was going to do. It was 2008. People with college degrees couldn't get jobs. And here I am, the ex-convict who didn't put any money away because I thought it was going to last forever without a job. It was a struggle, guys. I lost just about everything that I had. And it was a dark moment in my life there for a little while. But, like I've always done in life, I picked myself up and brushed myself off and knew that, again, there was something that I needed to go and do, something I was going to go and do, and still didn't know yet what that was. I was just caught up in life. So here it was, couldn't get a job, no college education, ex-convict, the whole nine. Again, those external struggles that I was facing. So I knew that if it was going to be up to me. So I became an entrepreneur. I knew I needed to create something. So I started a marketing company because what I started to look at was I saw a need. It was 2008. People were struggling, businesses were failing, and I could see that there was a need for somebody to go out and lift these small businesses and these entrepreneurs back up, get them back right in the right frame of mind, teach them how to market themselves in an economy that we were facing with at that time. So that's what I did. I started a marketing company and I began to go out and do these little small lunch and learn type scenarios where I was bringing in entrepreneurs and business owners and teaching them how they could grow their business in a struggling economy. And it started to blow up from there. And I started to have a lot of success as an entrepreneur with my marketing company. But there was still this roadblock there. I still was almost like I would get to a certain level of success and then I would almost hit this brick wall. One of my side businesses as an entrepreneur was I was in the network marketing industry, and I joined a network marketing company and I began doing things with that company and grew sales team of thousands and thousands of people around the world, winning the big checks on stage and the big trophies and traveling and winning the cars and all of those types of things. So here I am having success in my marketing company. I'm having success in my network marketing company, but there was still something missing, which caused me to go on a mission, to figure out what that was that I was supposed to go and do. Now, I don't know if y'all have ever been on a mission like this in life, but it's not real enjoyable to try to figure out what it is that you've been called to do, especially when you're kind of putting your foot down and going, I want to know right now what it is. But it was a process that I went through, and I went on a mission to figure it out what it was that I was supposed to be doing. And what I had to do was I had to go back and I had to look at my life, because I believe that God prepares us our entire life for what it is that we're supposed to go and do. I believe that he has to develop the dreamer before he can develop the dream. So I began to go back and I began to look at my life, the good, the bad, and the sometimes very ugly. It was painful, but it was so enlightening at the same time. Because as I looked back at my life, there was one common theme that I began to see in every situation that I was in. And it was that ability to lift people up around me. It was that ability to lift people to another level, to influence people to a higher level, to influence people to want more, to do more, and to become more. So as I went on this mission to find what it was that I was supposed to be doing, I found Plan C. I call it Plan C because it caused me to see the light. But you know what else I realized when I found Plan C? Was that up until that moment, I wasn't sharing my story. You see, all through corporate America, as I was excelling in sales and training and all of those things, I wasn't telling my story. I was, convinced when I got out of prison that telling my story was a bad thing, that sharing my personal story, my failures, was going to prevent me from succeeding, that telling my real story was going to hurt me. It was going to close doors. It was going to prevent opportunity. So I wasn't sharing my story. When I started my marketing company and I was going out and I was doing these lunch and learns and teaching all these entrepreneurs and business owners and traveling and building a business with a network marketing company, I wasn't telling my story. But when I began to share that story, it changed everything. I began to travel and I began to speak on stages to people from all walks of life. I put my story in text and I began to receive testimonials from all over the world, from people that had read my book and said that my book had impacted their lives and that my story had changed their life. I began to start, having people reach out to me as I began to share my story, my real authentic story. People wanted to put me in magazines and interview me on TV and radio. Started doing my own events. Started to build a successful coaching business as people began to come and say, hey, teach me how to go do this. Teach me how to go do that. And y'all, I don't tell y'all any of that at all to boast. It wasn't easy to get to the level that we've gotten to. And y'all, we haven't even scratched the surface over here yet as to where we're going to go and what we're going to do and the lives that we're going to impact along the way. I tell you that to tell you this, is that sharing your story will set you and the people around you free. I want to give you an example. I did an event in Tampa and a young lady showed up to my event and she was sitting in the audience and there I was, and I got up and I shared my story and I began to move to that next phase. And I asked her one question. I said, what is it, y'all, that you think right now is holding you back? What is it? If you could pinpoint that one thing that is holding you back, what is it? And I look over and I see Tammy White in the audience, crying her eyes out. Now, if you ever come to a Steve Hopper event, Lorraine will verify this. Do not sit in my audience and cry, because I'm coming to you. I am coming to you. Sometimes I will run to you if I see you crying. But I went to Tammy and I asked her, I said, Tammy, why are you crying? And Tammy got up and she acted very reluctant that, whether or not she wanted to share. And I said, it's okay. I said, it's okay. And Tammy began to tell the story about losing her husband the year before. You see, Tammy had gotten into an argument with her husband and she left the house. Just a normal argument, nothing major, right? She had asked him to do something. He didn't do it for her. They had a little spat. She ran out to go do some errands or whatever. And she came home a couple hours later and she found him hanging in the backyard from a tree. Devastating. And she was not sharing that story at that moment. And so this moment at this event was a time for her to release and to start sharing that story. And when she began to share that story, it began to set her free from the pain that she was experiencing. And what allowed her to do that, what gave her permission to do that, was the fact that I had gotten up on stage and I had laid my cards on the table. I had become vulnerable and I had shared my painful experience and my painful story. And what it did was it opened the door and it gave Tammy permission to share her painful story, her painful experience, which ultimately set her free. But not only did it set her free, it set her on a track towards a purpose that at that moment in her life she was lacking. It wasn't long after that of us working together that, and her going out and speaking and sharing her story, that she put this dream together called the Bobby White Foundation. That's right. It's a foundation, a nonprofit organization that goes out and teaches about suicide and suicide prevention, named after her late husband. And now Tammy's out there impacting lives, changing lives with her story. How powerful is that, y'all? So I started out tonight saying your story matters, and it does. And I know I'm taking y'all on a little bit of a long journey here tonight. But one thing that we've got to get before we start, going over the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s of how to make money speaking and how to do this and how to do that and how to market yourself and brand and all these things that come along with it, we got to get to the foundation first. And you need to know that your story does matter. What you've been through, the good, the bad, the ugly, your experience, it matters. And your life experience has gotten you prepared for this moment right here in your life. It's gotten you ready. So I came to a realization as I was out speaking and doing these things, and people were coming to me. I came to this realization that what I knew was valuable, that people wanted to know how they could somehow, some way, maybe skip over some of the pain, maybe skip over some of the heartache, maybe skip over some of the money, the countless money that was invested in hours and everything. And I realized that what I knew was valuable and that I needed to start sharing that with people on a bigger scale. And the same goes for you. That's right. What you know, what you've experienced, what you know in your niche is extremely valuable, which brings me to my next lesson. Sharing your authentic story is going to create new opportunities for you. Some of y'all right now that are watching this maybe have only been sharing a portion of the story, or maybe you've only, maybe you're not sharing the full version. Maybe there's parts that you're holding back. Now, I want to clarify this for you. I don't go out there and jump on stage and just unleash all my laundry, all my pain and heartache from the stage. No, 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 no. That's not what I mean by this. What I mean by this is that your story, your authentic, your real story, because it's authentic, is going to put you on stage in a different way than you've ever been there before. Maybe sometimes it makes you a little bit more vulnerable. Maybe sometimes what it does is it takes you out of your comfort zone. But what it does for your audience is something that's extremely hard to teach. It creates an atmosphere in your audience that allows them to connect with you on a level that a lot of speakers miss when they get on stage. Some of y'all are losing money right now in your businesses because you're too professional. What do I mean by that? You know, when I began to share, not just from stage, not just speaking, but when I began to get real and I began to bring the authentic me to the table. See, a lot of times we go out there and it's almost like we put on this facade. You know, we got it all together, right? Our business is clicking on all cylinders. You know, we got this, you know, we're the best there is. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like everything is great and wonderful, right? So we put on this facade, and what happens is it actually puts up a wall between us and the people that we may be dealing with, whether it be dealing with them from stage or whether it be dealing with them in a one-to-one scenario or out networking or whatever. So because we put up this wall, there becomes this barrier between us and our audience, whether big or small. But when we bring the authentic us to the table, what it allows them to do is allows the people that you're in communication with to lower their walls as well. And when they do, then you have this connection that literally takes things to the next level. You have more people that will buy your products and services because that wall has gone down. You will have an audience that will engage with you at a much higher level because their wall has gone down. So when I say you're losing money because you're too professional, I don't mean don't be professional. I don't mean don't dress nice, don't speak with good etiquette, don't handle your business professionally. What I mean is that, again, we put up this professional facade instead of being real and authentic, and it costs us money in the long run. Because after all, we all know people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. So let's jump right into this. What are a few powerful ways that you can start sharing that powerful story of yours? Well, first and foremost, I'm going to tell you guys the things that I did. I'm going to tell you the things that worked for me. I'm not going to tell you the things that I saw work for somebody else, some other speaker somewhere off the charts, whatever. I'm going to tell you what worked for me. And you take the parts of it and you implement it into your own walk. How about that? So start speaking at local venues. All right. Rule number one, you get what you ask for. What do I mean by that? If I go online right now and I say, hey, everybody, I have a desire to go out and speak at churches, share my story at churches, you know what's going to happen? People are going to start referring me to churches. They're going to start referring me to pastors that they know, churches that might be wanting to bring in a speaker, or youth groups or whatever. If I go out there and I say, hey, everybody, I'd like to start speaking at leadership conventions. Does anybody know of a leadership convention coming up? Then ultimately what's going to end up happening is I'm going to get referrals to people that are putting on leadership conventions. If I go out and say, hey, everybody, I want to speak at a Rotary Club, somebody's going to know somebody in a Rotary Club or be in a Rotary Club. And guess what? Next thing you know, I'm getting an opportunity to go speak at a Rotary Club. But let's take it back an even step further. What if you just start to ask for speaking opportunities in general? Yeah, you can get real super specific, and that's good. But what you've got to start doing is letting people know that you have a desire to go and speak. Because if they don't know what you need and they don't know what your desire is, and they don't know, people have this, believe it or not, I know we live in a crazy world. And if you watch CNN for too long, y'all, you're not gonna think the world is a good place. But here's the deal: we all have a desire deep down inside of us, to a great extent, to help each other, to want to do something nice for each other. So when you put yourself out there, and you let people know that you have this desire to go out and speak, people will start to open those doors for you. Now, you can't go out and ask one time. It's got to be something consistently that you're putting out there. So if you let people know what your desire is, they will start to open doors for you. Next rule on this is speak everywhere. Now, we have a person who represents, and y'all are going to hear from her next week. And she represents some major speakers out there. She's been in the industry for a very long time. Now, her speakers that are charging $25,000 to go out and speak, these rules don't apply to them right now necessarily. They apply to you, they apply to us. Because what you want to do is you've got to start to build a brand. And one of the ways you start to build a brand is to speak everywhere and get as many opportunities to speak as you can. Y'all, I was going out and speaking at Rotary clubs. I was speaking at networking events. I remember I went and spoke at this little fair one time, and there was like 5 people in the audience. But I can tell you this: the pictures my photographer got of me on stage, you wouldn't have known if there was 5 people in the audience or 5,000 in the audience. And I still use that picture in my branding. Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit more here in a few. But take the opportunities. Here's another thing: somebody can book me right now to go and speak, to do my ability to influence speech, y'all, and I don't even need to prepare. I'm sorry, to do my ability to influence speech. You could slap me on stage right now in front of 1,000 people, and I could get up there and knock it out of the park. You know why? Because I've done it so many times. I've done it at small venues, big venues. So the more often you speak, the more polished you are going to become. And then when we get to that level where we're charging that top dollar for speaking, you're there, you're at that top level. It's like anything else, it's repetition, repetition, repetition. So in the beginning, I tell you, speak everywhere that you can speak. I would even tell you to speak for free. Speak for free. There's a lot of places, our Rotary Club's not going to pay you to come in and speak. Some of your networking organizations, Chamber of Commerce's, many of them, things like that locally that give you an opportunity to start speaking and start getting your name out there in that way, they're not going to pay you to come and speak. So do you pass up that opportunity, especially locally, to go out and speak because there's not a fee associated with it? Of course not. I would tell you that's a bad decision. I would tell you, go take the speaking opportunity any chance that you can get. If it's not costing you money to go and do it, take advantage of it. But don't leave empty-handed, because every time you go and speak, you're creating opportunity. You're creating opportunity to build your brand. You're creating opportunity to grow your list, which we're going to talk a little bit about. You're creating opportunity to have future sales, because rule number 4 here is that your biggest sales are made long after you've spoken. Let me say that again. Some of your biggest sales are made long after you've spoken. I'll give you an example. I had a CEO of a company that reached out to me, had been following me on social media, and said, "Hey, we're having a company event, and I would like to talk to you about coming out and speaking at the event." And I said, "Okay." So I went to his office, and we sat down, and he said, what would you charge me to come out and speak at this event?" So I gave him a quote. I emailed him a quote the next day, and he balked at the quote. And he came back to me and he goes, I'm not going to invest that right now. He goes, will you do it for this? He goes, I know you're valuable, but will you do it for this? And it was substantially less than what I quoted him. And you know what? I agreed to it. I agreed to go ahead and do it for the lower fee. So I went out, spoke, did my thing right out there at their event. And about a week later, he reached out to me and he goes, hey, he goes, you crushed it, man. He goes, you did amazing. He goes, I would like to sign a contract with you to have you coach me and just come in and speak once every couple months for an hour or so to our company. I said, okay. I said, well, I said, here's the deal. I said, I'm not negotiating with you on this one. And I sent him over a quote for $60,000 and he jumped right on it and took advantage of it. So here I had lowered my fee a little bit to go speak for this guy. And it ended up a week later being a $60,000 contract. And there's many more of those stories. Some of the biggest sales were made at long after you spoke. So what I'm telling you is start putting the word out there that you would like to speak. Start speaking at some of the smaller venues, some of the more local events, some of those Rotary clubs. Go out and speak at some of the networking events. There are networking events out there, y'all, that you can join networking groups and you get 10-minute speaking opportunities. There's a group out there called RGA and just in the Tampa Bay area. And I think it's $100 or something dollars to a couple $100 to join maybe. And they have 20 something chapters and you can go speak at every one of their chapters. So what I do when I have an event or when I've scheduled an event is I will go on a little tour for a couple months leading up to the event. And I'll go speak at every single one of those networking groups locally in the area. And it's one of the ways that we fill the room. And coaching clients and all sorts of stuff come just by getting out and going and speaking for 10 minutes at those smaller venues. So what I'm telling you is take advantage of those opportunities that are there, especially in the beginning stages. It's also going to give you an opportunity to get photo and video of you speaking. Every time you speak, get photos and get video. This is how we begin to build a brand, because people will start to consistently see you speaking. And it's not just you taking these photos and videos and just stockpiling them on your computer. Every time I speak, y'all, I'm getting a picture and I'm immediately going to social media with it. I'm posting on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. Hey, got an opportunity to speak to this amazing organization today or whatever. Because what I'm doing is I'm keeping it in front of everybody that I'm a speaker, and that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm out there doing. And it just creates more just a picture of me speaking will remind somebody on social media, oh, we have got this upcoming event. We should throw Steve Hopper in the mix for that. So photos and videos of everything that you do out there in the market, and then take it to your social media and keep it in front of everybody. Some of the places that y'all can go to find some upcoming speaking events. One of the strategies that we use over here is we'll go on Eventbrite and we will see events that are taking place. And what we'll do is we will go ahead and reach out to the person that is the coordinator of that event, because you can find those people. You can find out who those people are on Eventbrite. You can find out who they are on a meetup. You can actually go to the Facebook events and you can see who the person is that has listed that event on Facebook. And what you do is you contact that person. You contact that person and you let them know that you have a desire to speak at one of their events, and who do you need to speak to get your information in the right hands. And so what we're doing is we're taking, and maybe this is an event they already have their speakers picked out, but we're building a database of events that are taking place, and most of these events are taking place annually. So we're able to put ourselves in the mix for the upcoming year. We're able to get in early to the competition. So we start building this database and reaching out. But you can find events that are going on that haven't found all their speakers yet, but they've already started marketing the event. TEDx, you can apply to do TEDx talks. Those obviously don't pay, but they're great for branding purposes and all that good stuff. Rotary International, you can go to rotaryinternational.com. You can find the chapters near you, and you can actually find out who the person is right on their website, an email address and phone number, the person that runs that particular Rotary Club, and shoot them a message and say, hey, I'm a local speaker. This is what I speak on. If you would like me to come and speak at your Rotary Club, let me know. We do that all the time, and they're always contacting us. Hey, you want to come speak here? You want to come speak there? So these are just some opportunities where you can go to find out where some of these events are and make the contacts that you want to make to get some future speaking opportunities. Has that been good right there so far? Yeah, good info. All right, fantastic. The next thing you guys need to do is we need to get virtual. We need to get virtual. You got to start dropping some of that internet that you have, or some of that value that you have on the internet. You got to start dropping some of that value. You know, I said it earlier, y'all stories are so powerful. I don't even know what they are yet, but I guarantee you, if I sit down with each one of y'all for 15 minutes, I'm going to find out something about y'all that is absolutely spectacular. I just know it. And you have these powerful stories and you have this powerful experience, and it's time that you start sharing it. You know, I came up with a quote a couple years ago, and it says, knowledge is power, but sharing your knowledge is purpose. Let me say that again. Knowledge is power, but sharing your knowledge is purpose. There's so many people out there that want to know what you know. So it's time for you to start dropping some of that value, getting on the internet and sharing some of your expertise. It's going to open doors. It's going to completely open doors for you. And video is king. Video is king right now. Y'all know that. It's been moving that direction for a decade now, and we're in that place. You know, I was working with a company, 10 years ago, and they knew that video was the future, and they were already starting to set themselves up for that 10 years ago. And now here we are. Video is it. Video over the internet. So you can reach so many more people and get your message and your expertise in front of so many more people because you have the availability of the internet. So one of the things we work on with people is helping you take some of that expertise and knowledge that you have and get on and start speaking on camera and sharing some of this knowledge to help build your brand and get you some more of those speaking opportunities. Rule number 2, send them somewhere. So you're on the internet, you're sharing information. We need to send them somewhere. You need to be doing this so that you can grow your list. So as you get on the internet and you begin to share some of your expertise and you're shooting these videos, have a call to action. That call to action needs to be either to give them something for free or to send them to something you've created that does cost money, but we want to start growing your list. So one of the things as a speaker, guys, you could take the top speakers out there, and I guarantee you all of them are not just making their money speaking. They're not just making their money speaking. They have other things that they're using to make money. They're either teaching or they're coaching or they're, sharing their expertise, or they're creating digital products, or they're doing other stuff, consulting, whatever it might be. Their speaking is really a platform to drive people to these other things. Tony Robbins, all of them. They've all got these big upper level echelon programs. So the speaking is really the foundation that gets you to those other levels. I remember somebody telling me one time, I think it was $75,000 to have lunch with Tony Robbins. Just a 45-minute lunch, $75,000. Man, 45 minutes. But you know what? Here's the deal. People are paying it. You know why? Because they believe 45 minutes with him could change their life. They're willing to invest that kind of money. But what I'm saying is that they're all sending you somewhere. They're all getting you in their system somehow. So you want to grow your list as well. So we've got to create a place to send them somewhere that they can go and get something from you as you are out there dropping these nuggets on the internet. We are having a call to action at the end and sending them somewhere. We need to be consistent in our branding. Let me give you an example. One of the first things I do when I take on a coaching client is we look at your branding, we get your branding in order. And what I notice is that if I go to somebody's Facebook page, and then I go to somebody's LinkedIn page, and then I go to their Instagram, it's like a whole different ballgame everywhere I go. Oh, they're real businesslike on LinkedIn. And then I go to their Facebook page, and guess what? It's, their profile picture is their cat. And then I go to their Instagram, and they're like, oh, well, I'm gonna get a little wilder on Instagram, right? So maybe it's them at the beach in their bathing suit. No. Listen, we have got to be consistent all the way across the board, because guess what? When you are applying for speaking opportunities, they're going to look you up. When you are out networking and you are meeting people and you hand them your business card, make no mistake about it. If you've sparked any interest in them at all, they're going to go and they're going to look you up. What message are you sending to them through the way your social media is set up? So what do you all notice here as you look? In the upper left-hand corner, I've got my personal Facebook page in the upper left. On the right is my business page. Then you have the cover for my YouTube channel. What do you all notice that is consistent across the board there? Y'all can unmute. Yeah.
White collar shirt,
Okay.
white and black layer.
What else do you notice? What am I doing?
I would say
And
you're
all,
speaking in all of them. You have the
Yeah.
microphone and
yeah. And the consistency of the branding and the color schemes and things like that, right? So my point is that when somebody goes and looks up my personal page, they see this. And then they go to my business page, and what do they see? They see the same thing. Maybe the picture's a little bit different, but it's the same branding across the board. And then they go to my YouTube channel. What do? They see me speaking in front of a large group of people. Each one of the pictures, I have a mic on my face. So you know that I'm speaking. So when we work on branding, what we're working on is visually, we're creating a consistent message across the board so that there's no confusion. There's no confusion. And we want to take an opportunity and we want to run with it. I know some of y'all are entrepreneurs and you got a couple businesses. Maybe you work for a title company, but you have a network marketing company selling health and wellness products at the same time. And we go onto your social media, and I'm not saying this is anybody specifically here, I'm just using this as an example. We go on your social media, and one day you're promoting a title company, and the next day you're promoting this new shake that you guys have just come out with. There's an inconsistent message there. So what we've got to do is we really got to clean this up. Because here's the deal. That old saying, that you can't judge a book by its cover. Well, guess what? They can and they will. So what does the cover of the book look like? Because what we really ultimately want them to do is open up that book and see what's on the inside, because that's where the magic is. So we want to create a consistent message that is in line with what you're promoting. All right. So when we're talking about branding, we're talking about getting out there. We're talking about being authentic, sharing your authenticness with your audiences. We're talking about getting more opportunities to speak locally, taking any opportunity that you can take. Be there, cultivate the art of your story. And you're going to do that by being more consistent with more opportunities. We start working on your branding and getting your messaging consistent all the way across the board. So no matter where they go to look you up, they're going to find the same thing, right? that same consistent branded message. One of the other ways that you can start making money, and you can start doing this immediately, y'all. This is the beauty of this next strategy that I'm going to share with you right here, is you don't have to ask anybody for permission to go and speak. You don't have to worry about signing a contract with nobody. You don't have to be worried about how much you're going to charge them to go and speak. You don't have to haggle with them over whether or not they're going to pay you that, or, you know, whether they're going to cover your hotel expenses or your airfare. You don't have to go through none of that when you do your own event. Yeah, there's a lot more work involved, but you get to call all of the shots. When I realized this, it was a game changer for me, a big game changer. Not only does it give you the opportunity to speak whenever you want to speak about whatever it is that you want to speak about, but it also kills a lot of birds with one stone. It helps to build your social proof even more. It helps with your branding. It helps you to be even better, to progress people to another level with you. If you have, you know, a upper echelon product or service, then you've got a better opportunity to get those people to engage at that higher level with you, whether it's a coaching program or whether it's again, a product or service that you offer in your current existing business that's maybe that upper level, that more expensive product. You know what I'm saying? Something that, you know, you jump on, you know, and talk for 45 minutes, you may not get them to engage in that or go to that level with you. But when you can spend a half a day with people or a full day with people and pour into them, people are more willing to go to a higher level with you. They're willing to invest more with you and in you when you've spent more time with them. So doing your own event can be huge. I'm going to give you an example from a financial standpoint. So I can go and speak at somebody else's event, right? And depending on what the situation is, I get a speaker's fee, and I may be able to sell books at the back of the room or something to that effect. But when I'm at my own event, I'm able to offer some of those higher level programs that I have available, especially when I've spent a day or two with my audience. So I'll give you an example. I have a one coaching program, the Legacy program, and it's a $25,000 coaching program. And so I did an event, and Lorraine was at this event, if I'm not mistaken. And I think we had probably about 50 people show up to the event. And I got up at the end of the event after we'd spent a day or two together. I can't remember how long the event was, but I offered my $25,000 legacy program. And 5 people in the audience took advantage of the legacy program. So I did my own event. I spent 2 days, and it was a $125,000 event. If that doesn't sell you on doing your own event, I don't know what will. Because, right? I mean, no offense, Lee. She's great at what she does, but I don't think Lee's going to get me $125,000 to go and speak anywhere right now. She may not. If she does, I'm hooked. I'm attached to her at the hip for life. But my point is it's highly unlikely, right? Because none of us here are at that level. Lee would have no problem getting Tony Robbins $125,000 to go speak for a company. But I'm with y'all, we aren't at that level yet to charge that kind of money. But we can make that kind of money doing our own events. So it's really something for you to think about. Now, it doesn't have to be a huge production. I would tell you this, a couple things. If you want to do your own event, it doesn't have to be this big thing. It doesn't have to be at a stadium. It doesn't have to have thousands of people in the audience. That's not the kind of event I'm talking about, y'all. But what you've got to do, we're going to start on a much smaller scale. What you got to do is you got to pick a topic that's going to draw people in. And who do we want to draw in? We want to draw in your target market. So if you're in business at this point, you really should know who your target market is. So we want to know what your target market wants. What does your target market want? Because everybody has a pain. And you know how we make money in business is we alleviate pains. We solve problems. We provide solutions. That's how we make money. We either fulfill desires or we solve problems. So for instance, guys that are making tons of money right now selling cars, they're fulfilling a desire. Or maybe they're solving a problem. Maybe somebody's car broke down, they needed a car. Either way, you can look at anything we're doing and we're either fulfilling a desire or we're solving a problem. Okay. So pick a topic that will draw your target market in. What's a topic that's going to provide a solution to one of their problems? What is a topic that might fulfill one of their desires? Solve a problem or fulfill a desire. So think about that. I'm pausing because I see y'all taking notes. Rule number 2, when we're planning an event, we want to start marketing that event about 60 to 90 days out. So when I'm planning an event, even smaller ones, guys, even the smaller events, if I'm just planning on doing something intimate that's, 30, 40, 50 people, I'm still going to start marketing that event about 60 to 90 days out. Because you've got to consistently put your event in front of people for them to show up. I mean, how many people do we have on here, Lorraine? Not counting us 3.
We have 3.
3, right? And there's 7 registered.
Mhm.
And the reminders have gone out all week. My point is that you've got to put it in front of people many, 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 many times for them to show up. Even if they've invested money, they'll find ways to not show up. So you want to make sure that you have plenty of time to promote. Okay. So 60 to 90 days out. This is even if you're doing a lunch and learn. I would tell you, if you're doing a lunch and learn scenario, you still want to plan this thing out well in advance and market it for a while to get people there. But keep it simple. Let me explain what I mean here. When we do events now, we go all out. We've got the big speakers, the big TV screens, the backdrops, the stages. We've got people taking registration. We've got greeters that are meeting you and seating you at our event. We've got, oh my gosh, Lorraine, you can help me. We've got lighting. We've got all this crazy stuff. These events are fun. They're exciting. They're full of energy. But I wish I could have brought y'all to the first Steve Hopper event. Just to show you. I was up at the front of the table. I had a little table. I had my laptop. I had a little projector and a little pop-up screen. And I had 2 little speakers that plugged into my laptop. And as people were walking into the room, I was playing the music on these little tiny speakers, right? I think you had to be in the front row to even hear the music. Okay. And it was, there was no production there. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, my budget was minimum. Like, I didn't invest any money to put on this event. Matter of fact, what I would do is I would go and I would find a venue and I would say, hey, I want to teach a class. You've got a room. I'd love to use your room. And in exchange for letting me use your room for about 3 hours, I'm going to try to put about 50 business owners in here, and I'll allow you to stand up and pitch your business for a few minutes if you allow me to use your room. So about halfway through the event, I would introduce the person that allowed us to use their venue, and they would come in and they would spend a couple minutes, and they thought it was great. They thought I had just given them the world to let them speak in front of 50 people about their business. And I was getting a room for free. So I would go in with 0 budget, y'all. Like, I would not spend any money on the event. And that's how I started out. And then as I was making money, I began to invest it back. We started buying our own equipment and buying our own TVs and our own cameras and our own lighting and our own microphones and all of that kind of stuff. So what I'm telling you is in the beginning, don't worry about all that. Keep it simple. All you need is a laptop, and if you're going to use a PowerPoint or something like that, you got a screen somewhere and a little projector, and that's it. You can start that way, and you can start making money that way. But the marketing is where it really is going to make the difference. Yeah, I tell people all the time, the shift for me took place when I came to the mindset that I wasn't a professional speaker. I wasn't a professional coach. Yeah, I was those things. But my business changed when I became a professional marketer. And that goes for you no matter what business you're in right now. You've got to go out there every day with the mindset that you're a professional marketer. If you're in real estate, you need to be a professional marketer that sells real estate. If you're in health and wellness, you need to become a professional marketer that sells health and wellness. Because when that mind shift changes, because you could be the best health and wellness expert there is. And if nobody knows about you, doesn't matter. Right? So you got to get in a marketing mindset. All right, moving right along here, y'all. We get your branding in order. We start getting that consistency in order. We start speaking. We start maybe possibly doing some of our own events. But what we need to do as well is we need to productize ourselves. And I talked a little bit about this when we did our thing, we did our initial webinar, the Top Speaker Masterclass. But I'm gonna dive into this with y'all a little bit and give you some examples. And I want y'all to really brainstorm here a little bit tonight about some of the things that y'all can begin to create. And when I talk about creating products, we're going to have products that we can create offline, and we're going to have digital products. So what we're going to do with these products is we are going to take your expertise, your knowledge, and we are going to begin to create products that can be sold, that contain your knowledge and expertise. Remember, there's so many people out there that want to know what you know. And you may not realize it yet. You may not have 100% belief in that yet, but I promise you, like I said, I can sit down with you for 15 minutes and I can tell you what knowledge and expertise that you have that we could market and sell. And regardless of what it is you're doing right now, you should have multiple streams of income. So when I tell you multiple streams of income, you know, if you have an employee mindset, then immediately you think, see, people have one or two things, either have an employee mindset or they have an entrepreneur mindset. So when you tell somebody with an employee mindset that they need multiple streams of income, what do they think? They immediately think, oh man, I got to go get a second job. But when you tell somebody with an entrepreneurial mindset, multiple streams of income, then they immediately think, I need to create new opportunities that generate money. So what I'm talking to you about here with productizing yourself is creating new opportunities that can generate money. And what I love about productizing yourself, y'all, is that it's the money while you sleep money. So what we do is we do the work up front, and then we make money for a long time off of that initial work without having to do the work over again. Right? So I wrote this book. I invested the time and I wrote this book years ago. And I'm getting royalty checks off this book every single month. This book is still opening doors. I'm not rewriting the book. I'm not rewriting the book every time I get paid on this book. So this is a product that will continue to make money for my family, hopefully, even after I'm gone. So one of the first things that I do with my coaching clients is we start working on a book. I believe every single one of you should have a book. Every single one of you should be a published author. And again, we could sit down for 15 minutes and literally, I could tell you what your book should be about and exactly how to lay that book out. So it's, and you all have a book. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You all have a book in you, and you all have a book that people would read. So this is a product that will, again, open doors, create opportunity. I spoke about this a little bit in our last session. Why should you write a book? It's going to open doors. I got on TV and radio because of the book. It wasn't even necessarily from the speaking. It was from the book. I got speaking gigs, I think, that were a lot of times related to the fact that I was a published author and because of the book. Being a published author will help you to expand that personal brand that we've been talking about a lot tonight. Again, it's going to make you money. I said this last time we were all together. You'll have people that will tell you, oh, you can't get rich off books. Well, tell that to the person that sold 1 million copies and they're making $7 a book. Anybody here want $7 million? Okay. Yeah. I mean, so that would change some things, wouldn't it? So yeah, you can make money off your book. And it gives you an opportunity to serve others, because here's the cool thing about a book. It's a tangible product. And even though a lot of things have gone online now, a book is still something, y'all, that you want to pick up and you want to, hold on. You want to pick it up and you want to flip through it. This is one of my recent Author Academy clients that literally just published his book a couple weeks ago. It's called Answer the Call by Justin Yokish. This guy's got an unbelievable story. When him and I first sat down, he's like, I'm not writing a book. You're crazy. You're out of your mind. I said, no, you're writing a book. And a year later, he came back to me and he goes, okay, I'll write the book. So, and it's a powerful book. But, we still, even though we're in this digital age, y'all, there's nothing that beats flipping through these pages and just reading this story, right? Not only is it relaxing, it's enlightening. I mean, it's like therapy to read these books. And everybody knows that readers are leaders and leaders are readers, right? So a book is a very, very powerful thing. So that's one of the first products that I believe every single one of y'all should put into action. Now we're going to get into the virtual products. Talk a little bit about some of the things that we can create here in the virtual products. This is a screenshot of me obviously talking on video, right? And I ended up creating a product out of this. So I shot a series of videos, and I was teaching on, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. I don't even know what I was teaching on. I was teaching on something, but I created a series of videos, and now I have incorporated that into an online course. So that series of videos is in an online course that people can go and they can purchase, and they can see me on video teaching them these things that they need to know. And guys, creating virtual products right now is easier than it's ever been. It's easier than it's ever been. Zoom has made it possible to do some really cool things for the average person. Okay. Right now, we are actually recording this webinar. We're recording it. So I'll go back and watch it. And if I did a horrible job tonight, I won't use it. But if I gave away a few nuggets, then what I will probably do is I will make a product out of this webinar right here. And I'll decide whether or not it's something that gets sold or added to an existing program, or whether or not it becomes a giveaway to grow the list. Because Zoom is recording this right now. So I'm investing the time and energy and effort to sit here and share with y'all tonight, but I'll be able to use this over and over again. And the same goes for you. Now, if you don't like being on video, there's a really cool feature on Zoom as well. You do a PowerPoint and you can not be on video, but still have your voice recorded. So I've got a couple online courses where I've actually created PowerPoints teaching content, and I didn't go on video. I just did a voiceover as I was going through the slides. And I have bought courses, I have bought online trainings that I've spent thousands of dollars on with guys that are playing at a really high level that did voiceovers over PowerPoints. They weren't even on video. They were doing voiceovers over PowerPoints. So again, when we talk about you getting on stage and speaking, or you doing an event and creating a subject matter that will draw your target market in, something that you're going to teach or speak about that's going to solve a problem, help somebody fulfill a desire, get them a little bit closer to that which they want, or get them a little bit closer to getting rid of that pain that they have. You can do that right here online as well. So, and it could all be repurposed. It can all be repurposed, meaning you can use it over and over and over again. You got your Facebook lives, you got your YouTube lives. YouTube is, guys, YouTube's a big deal. It's the second largest search engine there is behind Google. It's right behind Google. As a matter of fact, Google owns it now. So, you know, when people want to go and learn how to do something, where do they go? They go to YouTube to watch a video. My son races dirt bikes. I didn't know anything about working on dirt bikes. You know who taught me how to change the oil in my son's dirt bike? A 7-year-old in Kentucky on YouTube. Oh yeah. That 7-year-old man, he knew how to change the oil and told me exactly what bolt to unscrew. And I mean, this 7-year-old kid taught me how to change the oil on my dirt bike. Point is, again, somebody wants to know what you know, and they're waiting for you to put it in front of them. They're waiting for you to help them with your knowledge and your experience and your expertise. And guys, that's what speaking is all about. It's about taking what you've learned and what you've experienced and what you've known and taking it out there and sharing it with people to make them better, to make them better. It's not just about making money. I'm talking a lot about money with y'all tonight, because obviously that's what I'm here to do in this particular training with y'all, is to help y'all figure out how to make more money speaking and using that experience and that knowledge that you have. But it's not just about the money, right? If you go out there with a desire to take that expertise and that knowledge that you have and lift people to another level, the money's going to come. And you shouldn't apologize about making money from it, because you've been through a lot to get the knowledge that you have. Some of it extremely painful. Lorraine spent 8 years in silence before she learned how to find her voice. She paid the price. So you should never, ever feel guilty. And I'm addressing this with you now, because when I first started speaking, I struggled to charge. When I first started coaching, I struggled to charge. I know Lee will probably attest to this, that she's probably had a few speakers that have come across her path that she had to say, listen, you're devaluing yourself immensely. Why do you think that is? Because we all struggle with our own self-worth to a great extent. You think I ever thought anybody would pay $10,000 to hear me talk for 45 minutes? Heck no. What do I know? What can I say that's worth $10,000? That's how I went into it. How I went into it thinking. But the reality is that when I came to the realization that I had paid a lot more than $10,000 to learn what I was going to share with them, and so have you. You've paid a lot over the years to gain the knowledge and the experience that y'all have. Y'all agree with that? Maybe y'all didn't go to prison. Maybe you didn't, spend 8 years in a convent in silence, praying every day on your knees. But You've been through some stuff, right? That is equally challenging in its own way to you. You have paid the price. So I'm hitting hard home on this with you right now because we're talking about you creating products. We're talking about you to charge to go speak. We're talking about you taking your expertise and your knowledge and getting paid to share it with other people. And so from a mindset standpoint, you need to go into it knowing that it is way more valuable than whatever it is that you're going to charge because you paid a lot more for it than they did. You're hooking them up. Whatever it is, you're going to hook them up to get what you know or what you're going to give it to them for. Please, if you don't learn anything from me tonight, learn that is that what you know is valuable and other people need it and other people are willing to pay to find out what you know. I'm going to show this to you again. When you realize this right here, it's going to change it for you. We're not worried about the top 1%. We're not going to compare ourselves to them. What you need to look at is the millions of people, millions that want to get to where you are, that want to know what you know. That's your target market. The ones that want to know what you know. All right. As promised, I told y'all that if you stuck with me, because I'm going to let you guys get out of here. I've had y'all on here for an hour and a half already. And I could sit here. I'm like a preacher, y'all. I could sit here all night and talk. Y'all be like, is this ever going to end? I'm just kidding. But no, seriously, I told you guys in the beginning that if you stuck around with me to the end, I was going to show you guys obviously a guaranteed way that we could help y'all build your credibility, your influence, and your bank account. And so I want to take a few minutes and I want to tell you a little bit about my Author Academy. I've mentioned it a few times throughout the night. You know, I fought writing a book tooth and nail. I started speaking way before I wrote the book. And people kept coming to me and going, man, you're going to write a book? When are you going to write a book? When are you going to write a book? I'm not an author. I'm not going to write a book. That's crazy, right? And I went to an event one day and I heard a speaker get up on stage and talk about the power of a book and how that book could be a legacy product, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it was in that moment that I was like, okay, I've had all these people telling me I need to write a book. And now I'm here at this event. And eventually I came to the realization and understanding that God was telling me I needed to write a book. That was my understanding at that time, right? God's telling, okay, God, you want me to write a book? I'm going to write a book. I didn't have a coach that taught me how to write a book. So I did what I've done a lot in life, y'all, and I learned things the hard way. So I stayed up countless hours and did research and, you know, I compared going with a publisher and self-publishing and what are the pros and what are the cons. And I really weighed them against each other. And I just did all these, what's the perfect size book? You know, what book is too small? What book is too big? You know, how do I outline a book? How do I structure a book? What should be the, like, guys, I spent so much time, energy, and effort researching how to write a book and become a published author and how to market that book after the fact and all that good stuff. And I created the Author Academy because when I wrote my book, when I finally got it done and wrote it and got it out there, and I saw what it did, the doors it opened, the testimonials that came, the money that was made, I mean, just all of the above, it was a game changer. And so when I started my coaching business, I made a pact with myself. Okay. I made a pact with myself. Every coaching client that I take on is going to write a book. If they're not willing to write a book, I'm not willing to coach them, because I know that that book can do so many things for my coaching client, from a marketing standpoint, from a PR standpoint, from a branding standpoint. I know what it'll do. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So it's a must when I work with somebody. So what I did was I created my author academy so that I could start teaching people how to do this from start to finish and get it done. People like Sue Heath, 75 years young, this beautiful young lady. Her book is called The Final Quarter, because when you think about it, she's 75 years old. She's entered the final quarter of her life. How powerful is that? And she's writing a book, and the subtitle of her book is Make the Rest of Your Life the Best of Your Life. And the premise of the book is this, is that you've got to live your life like you're in the final quarter, because you don't know. You might be in your final quarter right now. I might be in mine. We don't know. So it's a very powerful book. People like Jim Willis. How on earth did I get here? Jim, very, very rough upbringing, very rough childhood. Father was an alcoholic. Mother was extremely abusive. Kicked him out of the house when he was 15 years old, told him she hated him, never wanted to see him again. He lived in a treehouse from 15 to college in the woods, lived in a treehouse, kept himself enrolled in school, living in a treehouse, went through college, living in a treehouse and trying to support himself through college, like crazy, right? Now this guy's an extremely successful businessman. He's one of the top missionaries out there. They say that nobody is better on a mission field than this guy right here, going into third world countries, changing lives. Amazing, amazing person. How on earth did I get here? People like TJ Jordan that have gone through the Author Academy, whose book is You Can't Build a House on a Bridge. Tell you his story real quick. 27 years of marriage or something like that. Walks in the house one day. His wife turns around the kitchen, tells him, I don't love you anymore. I want a divorce. 2 grown kids. I just recently left the house, all that good stuff. He was devastated. And I remember asking him, what do you remember most about that situation? And he said, I remember the smell of the carpet. I said, smell of the carpet? And he goes, yeah, I remember the smell of the carpet in the master bedroom because I laid there in the fetal position for about 3 days crying. And I just remember the smell of the carpet. But his book is called You Can't Build a House on a Bridge, because bridges are meant to get us from one place to the next. And if we plant our house in the middle of it, then we never get to the other side. We never get to that next destination. So again, guys, these are not like, 100 home remedies for, athlete's foot. Like, these are powerful stories, books designed to impact lives. And that's what they're doing. So anyways, my private coaching author academy is a 12-month program. I do bi-weekly check-ins with people. Up until now, this was the way, or up until, I should say, probably about a year ago, this was the way that you went through the Author Academy, was through specific private coaching. It was a 12-month program, bi-weekly check-ins, everything from the ideation of your book to the launch, your book launch party, the whole 9 yards. This was a $12,000 program. So it was $1,000 a month to go through the Author Academy program with the private coaching, me helping you go through from start to finish. And what I realized was that even though a lot of people were doing the $12,000 program and engaging with me at that level, I knew there were people that their stories needed to get out there, but they didn't have $12,000. They didn't have $1,000 to invest a month. So what I did was I took my Author Academy, everything I work on with my private coaching clients, and I did all these trainings from start to finish, from how to outline your book, how to come up with and I put it in an online program and came up with the Author Academy online program. So what's covered in that online program is ideation to the book concept, what is your book going to be about, how to create your title for your book, advanced outlining and structuring of your book, advanced writing tips, editing, publishing instruction, your pre-selling training. So what I do is I teach you how to set everything up to pre-sell your book before the book is even published, how to launch, and I call that the book launch party blueprint. So I had an amazing book launch party here in Tampa when I launched my book. My coaching clients, all of them that go through the Author Academy, had these amazing book launch parties because I literally blueprint out how to plan the event, how to market for the event, and how to get people to show up to your book launch party. And then, of course, your post-launch marketing. So the strategies and things you need to be doing after you've published your book to keep getting that book out in front of more people. So the Author Academy online program is a $2,000 program all day long. As an added bonus, I throw in my book template. So I've got a Word book template that is already structured for either a 5.5 by 8.5 book or a 6 by 9 book, which are your two standard sizes these days. And it's already laid out, margins, everything. So as you start writing your book, after you've done your outline, you start writing your book. The pages are numbered. Everything in the template is there telling you what goes where the title page is, your dedication, about the author, your forward. Everything is already laid out for you in this book writing template. So all you got to do is go in there and tell the story. And it's all laid out and ready to be sent to the editor. So the editor can do their thing at whatever point that you get done there. So that's a bonus that you get, is having that book template in your possession to write your book in. Another bonus is you're going to get a private Facebook group. I have a private Facebook group for the Author Academy, which is everybody that's going through the Author Academy is in this private Facebook group. So in that group, you get to interact with people that have already published their books, people that are in the process of writing their books right now, people that are just getting started. And of course, you get me in that private Facebook group as well. I'm jumping in there from time to time, and you can also access the online course and the modules in there from the private Facebook group as well. So this Facebook group is extremely powerful. You get that extra community encouragement, because there's going to be times when you're writing your book that you're not going to feel like writing your book. I mean, let's just face it. There's going to be times you're not going to feel like writing in your book. And so you need that accountability. You need that community to keep you encouraged and inspired along the way. A third bonus, you get a coaching session with me. And in that coaching session, I'm gonna work with you on what to write about, how to outline the book, how to schedule your writing, how to self-publish. I'm going to go through a lot of that stuff with you there in our meeting. And I'm going to go over some things on launching that book when you get to the end. But I can tell you, one of the most important things about this meeting is that second one. Actually, the first one and the second one. Because again, most people, they sit down, and I can't tell you how many times I've sat down with somebody and they go, I've thought about writing a book, and I've thought about writing it about this. And I say, okay, well, tell me your story. And as we go through their story, I realize that their story is way more powerful than what they were thinking they were going to write about. And so again, figuring out what to write about, that's what we're going to work on in that session. And I'm going to help you outline the entire book in our first meeting. In our first meeting, I will help you outline the entire book. Is that crazy or what? All right. You're not going to find that nowhere else, y'all. I promise you. Jim said, in literally a few moments, he was able to give me the big picture and a tremendous outline of my entire story. Who knows how many weeks or months that saved me. Thanks, Steve. So here's what you're going to get with what I'm offering you guys here tonight. You're going to get the Author Academy online course. You're going to get the book writing template. You're going to be part of that private Facebook group. And you're going to get that one coaching session with me where I help you outline the entire book. Total value, $2,997. What did it cost me? Obviously, guys, we've already discussed this in great detail. It cost me a lot of time, energy, effort, money, countless hours, sleepless nights. The information I'm going to give you guys in this program, I can't even put a price tag on what it cost me when you talk about time lost and doing it the wrong way and then figuring out the right way, etc. So if all this program that I'm offering you guys did was save you a whole bunch of time, precious time that you can't get back, would it be worth the $2,997? Of course. If all it did was save you a bunch of money in the long run, paying people to help you figure this out, would it be worth $2,997? Absolutely. And if all it did was help you make a serious impact, change a life somewhere in the world with your book and your story, would that life being changed be worth $2,997? You would all agree that it would be. So you guys can see why it's a good deal at $2,997. But because you guys are awesome and I love you, you've already dedicated time and you've already invested a little bit of money to be here, you're going to get all of it tonight for $197. You're going to get the entire Author Academy online course, my book writing template. You're going to be part of the Facebook group. There's no end date to that. You're in there. And you are going to get the bonus coaching session with me to help you outline your entire book. So to take advantage of the $197 offer that I'm making here tonight, you go to stevehopperspeaks.com. And Lorraine, if you would throw this in the chat box for me, that'd be huge.
Okay.
Go to stevehopperspeaks.com/top speaker. So here's my guarantee. If you guys go through the program fully, you don't feel like you received the value, then I'm going to give you the entire investment back. No questions asked. You can keep the book writing template. I may even leave you in the Facebook group. I don't know. I'll figure that out. But if you go through the program, no, you're getting kicked out of the Facebook group. I'm just kidding. My guarantee is if you go through the program fully, and I'm making this guarantee because I know without a shadow of a doubt that I'm bringing a lot more value than $197 to the table here with what you're going to learn in this program. You can become a published author from this program. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
So
Right.
Steve, give me that link again. Steve Hopper Speaks.
stevehopperspeaks.com/top speaker.
Got it.
All right. So you got a couple choices. You know, you can do nothing, keep your $197, right? Keep working it, possibly experience some pain during the process, maybe not write a book right now, go out and do this other stuff, and then circle back around later and realize, oh man, I should really write a book, right? And it's not going to be $197 to take advantage of that then, you know, or you can invest in you tonight and take the necessary assistance that I'm offering here to help you so that you guys can become published authors and all the stuff that's going to come with it and win big. You know, time is one of those things that is constantly moving, constantly. And we're running out of it. Y'all know that, right? You realize that, right? It's still ticking. And there's no way for us to stop it from ticking. So take advantage of the things right now in your life that are going to help you take your life to that next level. Take those things that maybe you put up on the shelf that are collecting dust that maybe you threw with the towel in on. Let's revive them. It's not too late. I'm so excited to see you all go out there and start sharing your stories, your real authentic stories, right? I'm excited to see you take that expertise and that knowledge that you have paid so dearly for over the years and share that with others to help them better their lives and take the things they want to do to the next level. But you can sit back and you can think about it and you can keep thinking about it. Or because this time is running out, y'all can get super laser focused and go after it. I'm going after it. I'm going after what I was here to do. And I hope that you go after what it is that you're here to do as well. And go after it every day with a passion that you have towards nothing else but what that is that you're supposed to go and do. So I want to thank you for that precious time tonight. I love y'all. God bless you. I really hope my desire here tonight is that I gave y'all something that's going to help you in some way, shape, or form play at a higher level in your business, play at a higher level in your life. So I hope that I gave you something here tonight. That's my biggest hope and my wish. I would love to help you write your book. I would love to help you become a published author. So if you want to take advantage of what I'm offering you guys here tonight, definitely take advantage. It's $197. It's risk-free. If you're not 100% satisfied with what you get from it, then I give you the money back. So take advantage. All right. I'm going to go ahead again, that link one last time, stevehopperspeaks.com/top speaker.